Hello everybody, it's been a long time since no video, but here it is. So, Made in Abyss, Binary Star Falling into the Darkness. It's our review for Succumbing to the Curse. I was playing on the PS4 and a PC version, so my experience would be stick with the PS4 version. Sometimes I will be telling something about the PC version. So, much like the characteristics within the universe, Made in Abyss, Binary Star Falling into the Darkness suffers from a long-standing curse. It's tasked with satisfying both long-standing fans and its source material while also offering a solid gameplay experience, neither of which anime games have been known to do well outside of UK exceptions. Fortunately, this game isn't as egregious or failure as other adaptations and even show potential for something greater to follow it. I wouldn't expect this is based on how the game starts. Kick off as a direct adaptation of the anime series. The game follows you for a cave rider Raiko during one of the executions into Abyss. While there, she discovers a young boy named Red, who is a human robotic made of the relics, and she trying to cave raiders spend their lives in search of. Shortly after, Riko discovers that her mother, who disappointed during last dive into the abyss for 10 years prior, is alive and even in quarter wrecked somewhere along her descent into the icing shares. This all comes from a 13 note through, and no one knows where the Riko mother could be or how she survived too long. Desperate for the answers, Riko sets out with the wreck towards the bottom of the abyss, braving certain death and to find out where her mother is and what she's been doing. It's decent enough adaptation of the story material, but every other aspect that plays into it drags down the experience. While the graphics and visuals are decent enough, the voice acting is flat and the musical cues are repetitive, making the short story segment an auditory slog to get through. Other sound designs elements are just as bad, with the characters repeating the same 2 or 3 lines at no sound every time they do anything. I was ready to mute the game after I played the same musical cues and canned characteristic lines a half dozen times in a rapid successfully in a blaring pitch, only for characters to pop up on screen and speak so flatly that it was like they were a part of the grade school play. The gameplay doesn't help much either. The combats feel repetitive and junky, feeling somewhere between the early MMO and the older Monster Hunter title. That was worst by the fact that anything and everything in the game was intent on murdering me and the second they spawned in, which frequently right on top with no warning. Compounding all of this were the survival traversal mechanics, or rather their unnecessary nature. Similar to the side, the game task players will delving further into Abyss using tools and rock climbing. The wise need to keep themselves fed using scavenge food items and need to scavenge material to make new tools if the ones they using break. One likewise needs to be constantly aware of how quickly and ascend upward as going, so triggers that cause of Abyss activating said curse can lead to all manners of negative effects, from an instant hit to one's hunger meter to implemented view on the games for a short duration. All of these sounds gameplay mechanics, but when they were applied to the adaptation segment of Made in Abyss, Binary Star Falling into the Darkness, everything felt like a moon print. Rec could and did make everyone on these gameplay elements feel unnecessary. He could defeat the enemies before any tools had the chance to be damaged, and could grapple up and down from the points every round several times more quickly than I'd climb up to myself. Even the curse of the boost felt like a necessary element. The segment was focused extremely on going downwards whenever it's possible, making the novel mechanics almost non-existent for a solid stretch of time. This all served to make the game feel like a thrilling battle for survival in a dangerous pit and more like a guided tour. To try and stray from this approach felt like a waste of time, at best frustrating at worst. It was a blessing when the adaptation section to the game concluded, everything covering only a handful of episodes from the series, not only because it was a pain to play through, but because the game truly opens up after this point. This is because the game is split up into 2 different sections: the Hello Abyss section, which adapts the anime directly, and the Deep in Abyss section, which tells an entirely new story. The latter is pretty clear that the game was intended to from the start and allows every other aspect of the title to shine as bright as it can. Playing as a young cave raider, that player can create and customize one of the guide them from the other origins as the Red Whistle Cave Rider, at the way to being Elite Whistle, the White Whistle, surviving all the dangers the Abyss thrown at them along their way. They also need to work their way through a winding story surrounding another young cave raider and the sad tale that led to be becoming a best with reaching the bottom of Abyss. It's not a perfect story by any means. Most of the new characters are two-dimensional and the audio was still abyssal enough to make me want to smash mute button. All the same, it had enough interesting moments to keep me engaged and felt like a solid first attempt at making something original for the Made in Abyss universe. The gameplay also saw a marked improvement. Whereas everything felt janky and slow during the Halo Abyss segment, Made in Abyss Binary Star Falling into Darkness Deep in Abyss segment finally explained why. Every element of the gameplay, from the cooking and crafting, the combat, climbing and survival mechanics, could be made more tolerable via skills earned through the RPG style, leveling and skill trees. There are unknockable combos and move for the weapons, buffs to movement and climbing speed, new item receipts and plenty of other perks that bring the experience out. Pit was dug for it. By the end of my Deep and Abyss playthrough, I was capable of zooming across areas, climbing up to the high or low points like a proper adventure game character and fighting even the most terrifying enemies in ways that was fluid, weighty and fun. It felt like a better knowing I earned this progress too, and it made me feel like I truly put the work to reach this point. Topping it was the fact the Curse of Abyss mechanics felt relevant as a constant risk to go along with the deeper dives and explorations. It provided regular attention that moaned and lower into Abyss I got that forced me to think creatively how I'm climbed back out of safety. Sadly, this enjoyment was dragged down by a fact that it could be experienced after boring Halo Abyss segment. Deep in Abyss and everything about the game that's enjoyable can be played until the hero of Abyss is complete, locking the game properly behind what are literally its worst elements. It's a honesty, a crying shame. If it didn't spend so much time forcing players to play a bland adaptation, the game could have been an exemplar of what anime games can achieve. Instead of it's just another of anime games, it will likely pass due over to its awful impressions. To be clear, Made in Abyss Binary Star Falling into the Darkness is not a rememberable game. It's a high point, and the core experience is one of the even non-anime fans could find enjoyable and worthwhile. It's held back by needing to adapt the material from anime through as result, and the full product is so much less enjoyable than it otherwise can be. Thank you for watching, don't forget to comment and subscribe. Everybody, peace. And if you have any ideas about new episodes or the reviews, please send your comments down below. I'm reading everything, so bye.